Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to the community conversation brought to you by Prototype Training Systems, home of CrossFit Prototype. The community conversation highlights a different member of the Prototype community each week and allows them to share their story, their life experience, and communicate their perspective on all things fitness. We've all listened to podcasts and watched YouTube videos that highlight some of the world's greatest leaders and visionaries, and we believe we have some amazing people here at Prototype and want you to get to know them. So to that end, I want to introduce Heather and Jay Clancy. These two have been part of the Prototype community near its inception. I'm not sure who got into CrossFit first, but I know both Jay and Heather are two of our most committed members hitting the virtual classes we offer almost every day at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or sometimes 7 a.m. It's a family affair with the Clancys at Prototype, as Jess Clancy, their sister-in-law, and Heather's mom, Mary, are part of the community as well. They have three boys who are all practically grown up at this point. I remember when they were just little kids. And these two are just two awesome people. Just another awesome couple that we have part of the Prototype community, and I'm just happy to have them on today. So Heather and Jay, thank you for being part of the community conversation.
Thanks for having us.
You got it. So let's start here. Why don't you guys share with everyone like a little bit of your background? How did you guys get into CrossFit? You guys have been doing this for like almost 10 years. And like, how'd you find Prototype? Like, let's start there. Let people get to know you guys a bit.
Sure. Do you want to start?
Yeah. So I was working at Reebok at the time. They partnered with CrossFit to be the official sponsor for the game. So Reebok went all in terms of building converting a gym an old factory that was on the campus into a gym. They brought in all the trainers, and the culture at Reebok really immersed itself in CrossFit. And after about 3 to 6 months, I think, I kind of tested the waters and was sold real quickly on it.
So he did it first, and we had just moved back. We lived overseas for 3 years. So we had just moved back. I think this was like 2011. And I had always been part of a gym. I was at the Y, over anywhere I would work out. But I came back and didn't really, just find something I could get into. So he's like, I've been CrossFitting at work. And at the time, the only one around was Center Mass in Worcester. And the kids were little, and I needed like a 5 o'clock class. And so I started my on-ramp there. And that was maybe the beginning of 2012. And Jessica at the time, when I told her, was like, no, wait, I'm my trainer at BSC is opening up a gym. And so I think pretty much right when you opened, I switched over from Center Mass, and that was it.
I remember that call because I remember talking to you on the phone, and I think I was like getting my oil change or something. I don't know why I remember this, but I remember like the conversation, because I think it was like one of the first like conversations with someone that we didn't know from like BSC or some of the workouts we were doing before we opened the gym. But back to like 2011, you said you were overseas. What were you guys doing there? And like, where were you? And like, how long were you there? I know you said 2011 is when you came back, but like, what were you guys doing?
So we went over in 2008 for Jay's work.
I was working in finance, and my boss came to me and said, what do you think about Hong Kong, moving to Hong Kong? Because we had an office there. And I kind of looked at him. I'm like, I lived in Rhode Island for a couple of years, but that's as far as I've gone. And I didn't even tell Heather. And a week later, he's like, so did you think about that? And I was like, no, I didn't, And so I came home and mentioned it to Heather, and she's like, why not?
Well, he came home, and you have to understand, at the time, the kids were like 3.5, 2, and 3.5, 2, and 1, just, and Jay came home, and I was staying at home with them and kind of just in this whole like toddler, craziness. And he's like, they offered me Hong Kong. I was like, let's go. Like, why not?
Yeah.
So we ended up moving January of 2008 until 11.
So what was that experience like, being in this was the first, you said you lived in Rhode Island, which
I went to school in Rhode Island.
Yeah. Oh, you went to school, you said you went to school in Rhode Island?
Providence College, yeah.
Oh, cool. And then, so that was like basically as far as you that you've been basically outside of like Massachusetts. Okay, got it. And then, so what was that experience like being overseas in Hong Kong? I know, and there's another one of our members. So Nicole St. Pierre, she lived out overseas for a while too. She mentioned that was one of her conversations. But what was that experience like in terms of like culture? How did you manage that with 3 little kids? Like, I mean, this is like, sounds kind of incredible.
Yeah, it was, we were just so like inundated and kind of like that, family toddler life. It was, Hong Kong it's a really neat place, and it was ruled by Britain for so long. So English is actually one of the official languages.
Mm-hmm.
So in the aspect of moving to, another country, there wasn't a language barrier. They have a huge expat community. So there were a lot of resources. There was the internet at the time, but I don't feel like it was, Facebook didn't exist yet. There wasn't like that, you had to kind of dig for like forums on places, but there was still information there. And so, before we went, I just, found schools and, things to kind of get the kids in. So we adjusted pretty easily.
We tried to live like tourists for 3 years, basically doing, traveling. It was very easy to travel there to other countries. So we saw a lot of of Asia, and even within Hong Kong, just the different tourist attractions. We'd kind of pick something on the weekend and we'd jump on the ferry and off we'd go for the day. And it was
because we rented, so we didn't have, we came from having a house. So, on the weekends we were doing yard work and things around the house. So we went to renting where we didn't really have any of those responsibilities. So it kind of opened up the weekend, and we just, would go see different things, which was, it's just a really beautiful part of the world. And, I tell anybody who has a chance to, it's a lot of travel time, but worth it.
What was your favorite place or part? Because you said you traveled all over the place. So it was pretty easy to get to. So you guys are in Hong Kong, but like, where else did you guys go? What was your favorite place? What do you remember? Do the kids even remember? Do they?
They do a little bit. Yeah. It was actually funny because, Dylan's the youngest, and within a 3-hour flight from Hong Kong puts you into, Indonesia and Thailand and Vietnam and all these kind of neat places. And so we had done with the kids that little, we looked for family resorts. So we would, go to Bali and have a nice resort. And so when we moved back home, Dylan, who was maybe, 5 at the time, would just go around saying, "We vacation in Bali. When do we go back to Bali?" And I'm like, that sounds. But so I did some trips. There was a women's group that I did some trips to some of the more like non-resorty places. So there was a trip to Java, which was really neat. And we toured like coffee plantations, and we did a weekend trip to Bangkok, which we didn't take the kids to, but it was just really a neat places to see. So but we missed our family. Like that was the hardest part, is we lost kind of that, his family's in Marlborough, my family's in Worcester. And, we had very involved grandparents, and we kind of lost that support system. So that was an adjustment.
Did they ever come and visit you guys or no?
His mom came and moved us over. So she came with us initially.
Oh.
And then my mom came maybe 2 or 3 times. And then your sister came?
Yeah.
Oh, my sister came. Yeah. They did come.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but we missed a lot.
So the next question is, would you ever do it again?
It's funny because I'll randomly out of the blue say, "Is there a job available overseas?" See, when we went, the kids were at the perfect age to do something like that. We were still their world. They were in, preschool. Jake hadn't even started kindergarten yet. Like we weren't really uprooting them. I mean, other than, them not seeing the family as much, we weren't uprooting them from school or their friends. So it was a perfect time to do it. And then as, there was one chance a couple years,
5 years ago.
It was like 5 years ago that Japan came up on the, as a possibility. And it just gets harder as the kids get older because they're just more ingrained in their schooling. And so I think now that they're high schoolers, we'd have to wait until they were graduated high school and then probably, but.
So like I mentioned in the intro, like I remember when your kids were just just little peanuts. Now they're all in high school and they're older. So what's that been like now that they're like, basically you got 4 men in your house, Heather, right? So what is that like?
They're such good kids, but teens are hard. It's hard. And busy and crazy. Jake graduates high school in May or June, beginning of June. So he committed to University of South Carolina.
Very cool.
So he's taking off. And then Tyler is finishing up junior year and Dylan is finishing up freshman year. So all 3 are in high school right now. So awesome. It's weird. I feel like we're at that point, like, they all have jobs and they just kind of, Tyler will get his license soon, Jake drives, and Dylan hops on his bike first thing in the morning and is just gone. So I feel like we're empty nesting, which is kind of a weird thing. We went from having these ridiculously busy weekends of sports and activities and.
Yeah, unless it's a ride or money, very little they need from us now.
Sounds like teenage boys.
Yeah.
I remember that wasn't, well, I guess it's getting further away from me now, but I remember those days too. So are they, because you guys are all in on the fitness, are the kids in the same boat? Seems like your whole family is like all about working out and stuff. Is it the same thing with the kids or?
Not really. Tyler was really big into baseball for a long time. And that's kind of eased out a little bit in the last couple of years. So he works like 30 hours at his job. And, Jake always ran track and he did training with John for a while and did some of the classes. And then Dylan's just kind of, plays basketball, plays soccer, like just kind of plays a whole bunch of stuff, but we keep saying, come CrossFit with us. And
I was going to say, because you guys have, I would say, arguably hands down the best home gym setup out of anyone that I've seen. And if people that are listening to this that haven't seen Jay and Heather's home gym setup, I mean, I think I made a blog post about building out a home gym. You guys have like taken it to a whole nother level. Like, when did you guys put a home gym in your house? Because it was before COVID. And and you guys have a rock wall, like you got to give the scoop on that.
We just took down the rock wall.
Oh, you did?
We did. It was slanted and it was kind of interfering with our overhead barbell. We wanted it a little bit more space. So we've been in this house almost 8 years. And at the time that we moved, I was working at the Y and had clients. I was a trainer. So when we moved here, my goal was always to have just a workout room that I could train clients in. So when we moved, I had some stuff, I had it in the garage, and then we had this finished basement. And I was fine just in the garage. And it's funny, like the ages that the kids were, they were downstairs with their friends and we couldn't really keep an eye on them. And, there's sliders to outside. And it just seemed like it provided a whole lot of invitation to mischief. So I'm like, I'm gonna bring this in. And so it slowly became half the space. And then we had a bedroom that my mom was commuting to the Cape. So she was living with us. And then when she moved to the Cape full time, Jay's like, why don't we just make that a bigger space? And we're still doing it primarily to block the kids from having this like boy cave that we don't know what's going on in it. So we brought we set up space up here for their like Xbox and stuff, but more. So it kind of grew out of that as more of just blocking the kids from having this space than anything. So
So what else are you going to add to this space? You've taken down did you take out down the whole wall or just took off the parts that made the indoor rock climbing wall? Or did you actually like just blow out the wall to give you more space?
Originally, I mean, there was a full room down there that someone came in and demoed and added, kind of doubled the space down there. But
Got it.
I just took down the rock wall this past weekend.
Because there was a window underneath there and we weren't
Mm.
getting that light. And then, the kids are taller than the rock wall now.
Yeah.
Nobody
No
was
one was using it.
Nobody was using it.
What's the next piece of equipment you guys are adding into your home gym setup? Or are you guys done? You guys like, all right, we're good. We don't need anything else.
We're done, I think, with Jay's last purchase last week of a new 20-pound med ball, because it was the one we had was all the seams came undone and it was duct taped and oblong. So we added that, but I think
Yeah, I don't think
we're okay.
You guys have everything you need. So you guys had the setup, which is like check the box on that. But like working out during COVID for the majority of human beings has been like incredibly challenging, even if you have like access to all that stuff. Like, how are you guys so successful at like staying consistent, doing like you're keeping with your routine? Like, you know what I mean? Like how, like, and then I assume, Jay, you've been working from home, or you were working, maybe, I don't know if that has changed at all, but like sticking with that routine, like, and just talk a little bit about that.
So it's actually really funny because, like I said, we moved in here 8 years ago and that we've had that space. And, I belonged to CFP, I belonged at the Y. I never used it. People be like, you have this space and you don't use it. And I'm like, nope. I don't. It was kind of like, ironic that I had it and didn't. So it wasn't until COVID, I was kind of last year, I was coming out of like the winter blues. I wasn't working out at all. I think I had gone 4 months without working out at all. And you stayed
pretty consistent with it. Yeah. I mean, as humbling as it is, it's still part of, my favorite part of the day is kind of just getting up and getting that done. And it kind of, when you miss it for an extended period of time, it just kind of throws off the rest of the day or the week. So that's kind of, and it's convenient too.
Isn't it? Like you just wake up like
Literally.
earlier, you probably have your coffee, you work out, shut it off, and then you're like, all right, well, now I don't have to like commute or like do anything. By the way, are you back in the office, or are you just?
I've been back in the office since mid-July last year, 2 to 3 days a week. So it's not too bad. There's obviously no traffic out now, but then I was
going to say there's no traffic. So, all right. So we've talked about literally your guys' journey overseas, talked a little about the family, the fitness stuff. Like, what are you guys doing outside of like the fitness? Now the kids are out. Like, what are your like favorite things to do? Like, let's talk about a little bit about like your hobbies and that sort of stuff.
I think sadly we play an incredible amount of cribbage.
Cribbage?
We're 90.
Right. So I'm like so ignorant. What is cribbage?
Cribbage is a card game that you just, there's a board that you have to earn. You earn points by, the combination of cards you have in your hand. And you just kind of, play, I don't know, 15 hands to a game, and whoever gets to 120 points first.
So you guys just go back and forth? Are you guys in like a league? Or you guys play with your kids? Like,
we have kind of a weekend tournament, or
just to do it.
That's awesome.
Even if before COVID, we go to pick the kids up if they were working at Ward or at baseball. We go sit at the bar and bring our cribbage board and cards and play.
That's awesome.
Saying it out loud sounds really sad.
You guys don't even need technology. This is great.
Exactly.
But I mean, before COVID, I mean, we would go hiking, we would kayak, we would go out and do stuff. But like really, since we've been kind of empty nesting, has only been during COVID. It's really been the last year. Like we were kind of.
I was gonna say, like, what's the biggest thing you miss, I guess, doing since for COVID and all that stuff?
Kid wise, or just
like in general?
Life,
life. Yeah.
Oh. Sadly, I think our life was kind of meant for a pandemic. Not much changed. I mean, we would, we miss having fires with our friends on the weekends and, meeting up with people and having cookouts and stuff. Kids wise, we miss the baseball games and yeah, but I think we kind of joked at the beginning of lockdown that our life was really kind of set up for it. Just sad.
Winning, right? Are you,
Right.
do you miss live shows? Because everyone listening, I mean, you're a dead guy, so you had to be missing like live music and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that is one of the biggest things that kind of has obviously stopped altogether. So looking forward to hopefully by the end of the summer things picking up a little bit. But whether it's a big show or just some guy in a guitar down at the local land vets or wherever they're playing, I'm looking forward to that.
So, like, I wasn't really into the Grateful Dead until I started dating Erin. And the first song that I heard was like that she played in the car. We were driving to the Cape, was Friend of the Devil. And I was like, who's this band? She's like, you don't know the Grateful Dead? I was like, oh. And then I became like immersed in it because my father-in-law is a big Deadhead. Heather, have you got into the Grateful Dead music, or were you like, how did has Jay rubbed off on you in taste of music, or no? Shaking your head.
It's played a lot. And I do
it's played a lot.
Well, there's a lot of songs that I do like. There's a lot of music with no words. or
it's usually the best music.
Songs that are like 15 minutes long, and I like to sing along to stuff.
That's true. You can sing along. There's plenty of good songs to sing along to.
I like it when it's on. It's not my choice. Like if I was by myself, I wouldn't put it on.
It's very like politically correct answer there. You sound like my mother-in-law Karen, but she would be a little bit more candid with how she would respond to the music.
I've heard her talk about that.
What was that?
I said I've heard her talk about all the Grateful Dead stuff around the house and down there at the Cape.
Yeah, it's awesome. One thing we didn't talk about is like, how did you guys like meet? Like what, like, to give us like that story too,
That's funny. That was Sam's question of the day this morning, is how did you meet your significant other?
Oh, it was. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, perfect.
I gave kind of the quick answer that we met at work, but kind of the funnier answer is we both worked for the same company. And I was really good friends with the girl that sat next to Jay. So, I mean, he's quiet. I didn't really know him. And so I was driving to work and I had my sunroof open. And as I'm driving, a bird died mid-flight, came through my sunroof and landed in my cup holder. And now I'm driving this car and I'm freaking out because I didn't know what it was.
Just out of the sky,
just straight dive bombed into my cup holder. So I go into work, I go to my girlfriend's cube and I'm just like, a dead bird came through my sunroof. And Jay, without saying anything, grabs a shoebox, goes outside to my car, scooped it up, got it out for me. And I was like, oh, that was really a kind thing to do. And yeah, then we ended up being on the same softball team and kind of hanging out. And then but he rescued me from the dead bird.
I thought you were going to say that he like made a joke that he shot it out of the air. And that's how for a second. I'm like, that would be a funny joke. But that was a nice thing to do. Oh, yes. Look at that. That's a good story.
Yeah.
All right. So we've touched on a lot of stuff here. Now we got to hit you with the Spitfire round of these questions. I kind of asked a couple. I asked one of them. I already know the answer to one of these questions, but first one is this could be different for the both of you. It doesn't need to be the same, but what's your favorite movie and TV show of all time? And then what are you currently binge watching, if you are binge watching anything?
Okay. So I think my all-time favorite movie is Stand By Me.
Okay.
But I think for both of us, it's probably Shawshank.
I'd say the Big Lebowski or
Big Lebowski.
Dude.
Yes. And then we kind of have like the top, yeah, Shawshank's up there.
Shawshank is like you're both yours, but like individually.
It's the, if it's on TV, we're stopping and watching it.
I feel
No
like
matter.
that's such a common response on this. I feel like there's 2 or 3 other people that have said that because it's such a good movie.
Yeah.
Such a good movie. Favorite TV show?
Seinfeld.
Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's Creek. Erin's watching that. I've
Oh.
kind of never really got into Schitt's Creek. Seinfeld, I like that. I've never really got into it. I watched a couple episodes. It's funny, but it's not like necessarily my type of humor. But it's such a popular show. Oh my God, it's like taking over like the internet. And
Yeah.
then is that what you're binge watching right now? What are you guys binging? You guys binging anything together?
I'm done that. We don't do much together with TV. I think the last one we binge watched together was Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
John loves that show.
Pretty much just watch Jeopardy every night. Because again, we're 90. So
Nothing wrong with Jeopardy.
Mhm.
Nothing wrong with Jeopardy.
No.
Jeopardy's awesome. All right.
And then it leads right into bedtime because we get up at,
You get
before
a crack of dawn. Yeah. Before crack of dawn, I should say. So favorite musician or band or artist of all time? Jay, I already know yours. It's got to be the Grateful Dead, unless.
Sure. Nope.
100%. Heather, what's yours?
probably Bruce Springsteen for like longevity wise.
That's another good answer.
Yeah.
And then last question is, we kind of asked this a little bit, is what is your favorite thing to do when you're not working out or at the gym with your family?
I like with the whole family because we have 3 teenagers. We don't see them.
Doesn't have to be the whole family. Oh, you already talked about your big hobby is cribbage, but any big things you guys do with or this could be like pre-COVID too. Like
I'll take the boys, a couple of the boys skiing. Those every once in a while they'll come out fishing with me.
And you go
me and Ty golf, yeah. So it's more kind of one-on-one or with a couple of them. To get all 3 of them to do the same activity is a tall order.
It's hard, yeah. I didn't know you golf and you guys ski too.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time up at Wachusett. We get to head up there once a week or so, just for a couple of hours.
That's awesome.
I always like snowboarding, and I'll ski.
That's awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys being on this community conversation today. So many different things I learned about you guys. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to everyone that are listening. So also everyone that is listening, thank you for tuning in and watching. Remember, every week we'll be releasing a new community conversation with a new guest to get your week started. Also, to be the first to know when the community conversation is posted, subscribe to our YouTube page, also streaming on Spotify, or join our daily newsletter. We also post this in our community members only group on Facebook. So if you're a member at Prototype and not in the group for some reason, just let us know. We'll get you in. And then lastly, if you're interested in being on that community conversation, just shoot us a message and we would love to have you. So Jay and Heather, thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having us, Mike.
Got it, guys.